All right, welcome back to another episode of the Great Area Podcast. This was a show that TJ wanted to do. Typically we try to do the shows on Sunday, but I guess with everything that happened today, TJ wanted to discuss the incident at the Capitol building. I'm your host, Michelle Bawana, here with my co-host TJ. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Yeah, I just wanted to do a quick show because it's topical. People can call in as well. Do you have the number there?
Yeah, so if you want to call in and I'll put it in the chat, it's going to be 515-605-9342. Now, go ahead and while I'm doing that, you can go ahead and kind of explain what's going on today and what prompted you to call for an emergency podcast.
No, it was just kind of weird today. So, Trump gets up there and he kind of incites things a little bit. He keeps, pumping up his base that showed up at marched on D.C. today. Had a rally in D.C. And somehow these guys, the people at the rally, the protesters ended up getting inside the Capitol building, which is not something I think ever should happen or should be able to happen. It just doesn't make any sense to me how you could be so underprepared to let people inside the Capitol building. And I just remember, when Black Lives Matter, for example, had a protest there, they were stacked with people. They were stacked with cops and things of that nature. So it really just boggles my mind, honestly. We do have proof that Trump, had tried to call people and had tried to, get them to overturn the election and things of that nature. And it's just, I don't get it. I mean, there was one guy who was taking a selfie in the Speaker of the House seat. Now, I really believe that this was any other kind of protest, there would have been a lot more people shot. One woman was shot because they broke down a door. She did pass away. But that was about it. I mean, I just thought they got way too far. They had people scaling walls and everything. So, this was supposed to be one of the most secure buildings in the world. How did this happen? And why did this happen?
Well, people are upset. They feel like the election was stolen, and it's irreconcilable differences. I told you before that both sides, I noticed that they were getting violent towards politicians. I told you that, and I just feel like with a bold act like this is just going to get worse. Supposedly, I heard in the New Black Media that they were talking about going to some of these politicians' houses. So, I mean, I told you this, so it's just the next step. When you don't hold people accountable for their actions, they just they get undisciplined, like little kids. If you let your kids just run wild, then they just start acting bad, and that's what's going on. The Democrats, are just as guilty. You had a bunch of police shootings in a lot of these Democratic ran cities, and they don't punish the police officers when people are saying it's racism, and people get emboldened. So, I mean, if you look at it, there was people know about this article that came out years ago that the FBI said white supremacists had infiltrated law enforcement. So, of course, they're not going to do anything because they're in on it, and then in some cases, and then you don't want to punish your friend or your neighbor or your son or your father or your uncle or your cousin. So it is what it is. I mean, that's how we got it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you that we do not hold people accountable. Number one, the people in the democratically run city, or any politician, but we haven't held the people accountable, and the people haven't held the politicians accountable. I mean, it goes both ways, right?
Right.
And it's kind of a night watchman. Night watchman is just the guy who sits there, hopes nothing's going to happen, and lets everything just happen. That's what's called like a night watchman. If you're a president, is you kind of just don't do much. You don't try to Trump's not the only one. I mean, there's been a few, but sometimes this happens. But you're just not
sometimes
intervening
what
where you should intervene. Well, I'm saying you're not intervening when you should intervene, when you should be showing leadership, and you're intervening when you shouldn't be intervening.
So what do you think Trump should have done differently?
If Trump would have told all those people immediately, "Hey, don't do this, go home," they would have. They fall on his every word.
I don't think
but he
so.
Didn't.
I don't think so. This is this is beyond
you don't think
Trump.
They would have gone home?
Nah, this is beyond Trump. Trump is about to be out of office. You think this is going to stop? This has been going on for hundreds of years.
Well, I know it's been going on for hundreds of years, but it's been, I mean, the last 4 years it's been incited by the highest office in the land. It's been pumped up by the highest office in the land.
Nah, they've been racist. You got to think it was race riots. Black people was rioting when Obama was in office. White people was doing stuff when Obama was in office.
I wasn't making it necessarily a race thing. I was making it more like a leadership thing.
I'm just saying,
I can't remember the last...
all kind of groups.
Well, I understand. You're right. You're correct. You're absolutely correct.
The Asians was protesting. And the Hispanics was protesting. Exactly. And the Hispanics was protesting when Obama was in office. They rock off the job in California. Remember that? And across the country.
Walking off the job is fine. I get that. What I'm trying to say is that a person. So people do hang on Trump's every word. People who support him hang on his every word. They think there was voter fraud, like mass voter fraud. They think the election was stolen, all this stuff. And they believe things he said, totally baseless claims, totally 100% baseless claims, non-factual claims, right? But, it's their guy. How could their guy possibly lose?
It's not just Trump.
I'm not saying it is. But, when you have a person that, if someone's swinging on your nuts, they're swinging on your nuts, and you can say anything you want, and that person will do it. Trump knows that, and he waited a long time to tell these people, "Hey, and then even at the end, he was like, 'We know the election was stolen. Just go home.'" And then they went home.
And I heard that the people is planning on going to politicians' houses right now, and they out in different places in this country. So, I
don't doubt it. I agree with you. I think it's good. I think it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I mean these people. Trump is going to be gone. Trump. The thing is, before they were MAGA, it was the Tea Party, the same,
right.
Same kind of people. These people are angry. They've been sold out, and this is what's going to happen. That's why you got to have black people and other groups, so that way they ain't looking at the politicians and the other white people that sold them out. You know what I'm saying? So
no, what do you mean?
I mean, because I told you before, I talked to a futurist, and I said, "Hey man, you guys eat your own." And he said, "Yeah, we do eat our own." And I told you before, if you join those men groups, I mean, these guys, a lot of the white guys are getting screwed over. A lot of our veterans,
mm-hmm.
So that they understand that this is that it's a farce. You know what I'm saying? And
like government in general.
Yeah, this whole system, this whole country is a lie, and people just go crazy. It's a sick. This one dude was telling me it's a sick society. It's a sick society, and it is a sick society. It's just turning out sick, broken people over and over. And one thing you were talking about with the holding the people accountable. This one guy from the fathers groups that I did the podcast with, he was saying, "Hey man, you should He mentioned running for office, right? He said he thought I should run for office. But then I said something about holding the people accountable, right? The politicians accountable. And I told him I realized something. That one of the reasons that people don't hold these politicians accountable is because they like discipline. See, the people like discipline. So it's hard to hold somebody else accountable when you like the discipline, and your focus can be you can easily be taken off your focus. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
people just want to go back.
We like the discipline. A lot of us. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say the fact that we still have a two-party system and people are talking about left and right lets you know that people are pretty much sheep and really take no responsibility for their life, and they just looking for somebody else to blame. They're angry, they're frustrated. A lot of them don't really know what to do, but they like the focus and the know-how. to actually change the situation. So it's easy to say this politician or that politician can help me out, or they're the reason that my life is the way it is. Now, in some cases, they do make it more difficult, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, you got a lot of frustrated people that, in their heart of hearts, know something is wrong with the society. Now, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've talked about this before. You need, it's hard enough for people to have self-discipline, right? Like we were talking, like, I'm still on that journey, to really have my self-discipline where I want it to be. So if you don't have self-discipline, you can't even have, be brave enough or whatever you want to call it to be able to check somebody else. You know what I mean? Like,
right, and that's what they bank on.
Yeah.
That's what they bank on. That's what they bank on. If you really have self-discipline, you wouldn't need these people. That's the whole point of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the best way is to, number one, if you want to change something, the right way to do it is to find other people that think like you and act like you, because one person doesn't do it. One person's not going to do it.
Right.
One person's not going to do it. You have to have critical mass. You have to disrupt systems like, this is the only example I can think of. Like, Rosa Parks, she disrupted the transit system, and then, all these people, they stopped doing clothes for white people, and they stopped doing chores. So they basically went on strike. Right? And then the white people paid attention. See what I'm saying? And it's like that with anything. It's like a union. If I go to a job and it's not unionized, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to quit if you keep treating me like this, they're going to be like, all right, see you.
Right.
But
that's why marching doesn't work. Right. What they did, these people just did, that works, because it's pretty much change something or else we're gonna be up in your shit. You know what I'm saying? And of course, those people are cowards.
I don't think it really changed. I don't think it really changed anything, but
yeah, it's gonna change.
Well, no, I don't think it really changed anything, because it wasn't really well organized. There was a few people that got up into the Capitol and stuff like that. But
dude, I just told you.
Right,
I told you before, the left and the right have been attacking politicians. And they have been protesting outside of their house before. Now they run up in the Capitol building. And supposedly they're planning on going in people's houses. What's stopping them from running up in the person's house? You already seen that they had the plot to get the one girl in Michigan. So now, you know what I'm saying? What's going to stop them from going up to somebody's house if they know they can breach the Capitol building? That's what I'm saying, dude. The violence is already happening towards the politicians. That's what. It's already there. That's what I'm saying. This was just the next step, and they was able to push the boundary because some of their friends are in law enforcement. They're going to stand down. So it's going to keep happening if you don't have consequences, if you don't hold people accountable, because you can't really hold them accountable, because some of the people in law enforcement from that report, and then I think it was like the Washington Post or one of these news outlets also did a report about how, these white supremacist groups were, basically working with the police forces. So it's too late. They already infiltrated. If nobody's going to act, then they're just going to continue to. Like I said, they're not going to be able to protect these politicians. Because one thing about it is more people than it is politicians. And one thing about the politicians, they take that job, and it's like you're working a sales job where the sales pitch is a lie. So they telling you how to manipulate and lie to the customers. The whole pitch is a lie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what the politicians do to the people. When that don't work though, then hey, you better.
Yeah, I agree. I think
everybody.
I think everybody left and right is just absolutely just kind of tired of the entire system. The reason protesting doesn't work is because what you're doing is you're shutting down a street for a day. We can get over that, right? And then people forget about it. Like, what do you have to do when you protest and you want to do these things? I don't endorse violence. I don't endorse running up on a senator's house. There are other ways you can do it. I mean, you interrupt systems. If you interrupt systems, and you got to figure out what system that is, what matters most to your politicians. And it's almost kind of like what you were talking about. It's civil disobedience, right? You were talking about not voting. Well, that's civil disobedience. Some people don't pay taxes because they don't believe that it's fair. That's civil disobedience. And it works. It's been proven to work. But people forget all about it. Protesting is just, you are going to draw attention as long as the protest is going on. As soon as everybody goes home, our attention span is so short that they're going to forget about it. It's gone.
Protesting is something really gay people and black people do. And especially when it comes to black people, it's just something to clout chase a lot of times. It's very ineffective. And for people to continue to do it, it just shows that they're not really serious about it. Protest is the right kind of protest. Now, they did just protest outside of now I'm talking about like the marching and stuff like that. No justice, no peace, all that don't work. But they were just protesting outside of in Mississippi. Some people protested to get a person out of jail, like a specific thing. If you protested, that working. But just to say protest against racism and all this other stuff, that's so vague. And really, racism is something. Like I say, you can't. If your goal is to change somebody's heart or make them like you, I mean, you focus on the wrong thing anyway.
Well, the reason I don't agree with the protesting is because it's been 400 years, and the purpose of protesting is to try to convince people that there is a problem. Well, you haven't convinced them in 400 years. Why are you trying to convince them now?
Because they don't want to do anything.
I think the best way to do it, which is really hard because people don't want to do this, is instead of going to Kroger, if there's a black-owned grocery store, go spend your money there. Like if you really want to be a white ally, go to the hood, buy your groceries there. Buy from black.
Well, you have to have ownership. Yeah, you have to find it though, and that's the problem. That's really the problem.
Business. Yeah, there's only one black-owned business around where I live, and it's a bar. So what I did, I talked to the owner too. I was like, hey man, I just instead of talking about it, I'd rather be about it. I'll just come to this bar. And he was like, hey man, that's really cool. I appreciate that. And then we had conversations like you and I have conversations. And I'm like, yeah, if I go to a bar, that's the bar I'm going to. If I bring our friends out, that's at least something. It's the only black-owned business anywhere around me. But you're right. Like, there's so few black-owned businesses. It would take you all day just to get a couple of items.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's that was the problem with integration. When we gave up businesses, it was a bad strategy, and people don't want to take responsibility and admit the mistake that it was a bad strategy because it's easier to work for somebody else. It's easier to let white people hold the water and take the responsibility. And it really is because I noticed, like I told you before, 90% of pro-blacks and pro-whites are frauds.
Hypocrites.
You can't be not frauds, not even hypocrites, just frauds. You can't hate white people but never do anything to build your own, and you continue to work for them. So how can you really hate the hand that feeds you? You know what I'm saying? So
well, I don't think pro-black or Afrocentricity has to mean that you hate white people. But
I didn't say it did. But I'm saying some people claim to hate white people, but at the same time aren't doing anything to get from underneath white people and be independent and do your own thing.
Well, that's another one of those things. That's kind of a broad brush. It's like, if anybody hates an entire race of people, then you're kind of missing the point. Like, you're just not doing the work. It's just easier to hate an entire race of people.
That's why I say 90% of the people is a fraud. It's something else. That's what I just said. That's what I'm saying. It's fraudulent. 90% of the people Donald Trump is a white supremacist. He's a real white supremacist because what he did is he's a white person that pretty much show, hey, you can be successful. And he's an example of what you can do. That's really being a lot of these people claim they're white supremacists or are pro-black. They hate on black people and they hate on white people. They kill white people. They kill black people. They don't like to see other white people succeed. They don't like to see other black people succeed. They don't support other white people or black people. So they're not really pro-white or pro-black. It's just a front and a fraud, and they're pretending because of something else going on with them. That's just my opinion from what I've seen. Not in all cases. I'm just saying. Just from what I've seen.
And it's never. Yeah,
it's a deep underlying issue.
Yeah, nothing's ever 100%.
Right.
Never in all cases. Yeah, man, I don't know. It's like, I was just pretty freaked out. I guess that's why I wanted to talk to you about it. And number one, because it's topical. We talked about this on Sunday. People will probably just like not even give a shit. But it's just like it freaks. It freaked me out because like in the next 2 weeks, before January 20th, it's going to escalate, and then for the next 4 years, you're going to get people that are going to hang on to this vision of Trump. He's going to run in 2024, all that stuff. Biden's going to get shit on the entire 4 years. And I hope America doesn't become like this, and maybe it was always this way. But I remember Obama got shit on for 8 years, and now people are out there like, well, you were so mean to this man.
This guy, he's gonna, it's not gonna work for Joe. It's not going. I told you before. Once the black media, the real black media, once they got a hold, not the black media you see on TV that work for white people, the independent outlet.
Not Van Jones.
Yeah, not Van Jones crying after he was just praising the guy, fake crying. To the point that you say he looks so weak, you think he could take his girl. So, but once they was able to get they aim set on one person, and then it was him. It's not gonna work. It's gonna be too many people coming at him. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Well, hopefully he does what the rest of the presidents do, and he doesn't answer every person that comes at him. Most presidents don't do that. They let someone talk shit. They sit there and
it don't matter, man.
It's
a new day.
Away.
It's a new day, man. They doing strategies. It's too much. It's too much for them. They can't. They don't have enough.
So what side of the Civil War are you gonna be on?
The Civil War is you and y'all. I told you before. We just need to get out of the way. This ain't our battle. It was always between the Europeans. This ain't our battle.
Dude, I'm not. No,
we just the people that's there to keep y'all from fighting each other. You know what I'm saying? We the other.
Yeah, you're the whipping boy.
We just the ones that's there to keep. To
you know what a whipping boy is, right?
What's that?
Whipping boy is so like let's say you have a prince or something, right? And he does something bad. Well, you can't hit the prince. So you go over and you have this kid that he hangs around with. And anytime the prince does something bad, they go and beat the shit out of this kid and make the prince watch. And they're like, see what you're making me do? Don't you feel bad? And then the prince is like, nah. It's kind of like
that's what's going on. They just bad kids. Right now, they're just bad kids, and nobody's accountable for their actions. And I said before, man, when you self-sabotaging people, they can mess up the whole team. So you got to get away from them. And right now, we got a group of Americans that's self-sabotaging, and we got to do our own thing. We got to get our stuff together because it ain't looking so good. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to be honest,
I think it will.
I don't try to be offensive. I'm not trying to be offensive because I got white friends, have white associates, but if I'm being honest, I'm giving a warning to anybody who I guess is aware enough or thinking they can change course. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. For real, because the Civil War is not us.
No, man.
The Civil War, it's not us. It's y'all.
It's gonna be rough, man.
If you don't see that, you in denial. It's y'all, man. And we just the backdrop in the people that's just blamed for it. We not in it. I can tell you one other reason why black people ain't gonna be in it, because of interracial sex. Too many people they ain't gonna get that up, man. They ain't about to fight. They won't even fight. They won't even fight. So that's not even gonna happen.
What's gonna happen is both sides are gonna get together. Both sides are gonna get together and like, hey man, can't we just go back to everybody hating black people again? Yeah, man, let's do that.
Well, that's what they're gonna try to do. Yeah, I mean that's what they always try to do. They always try to do. We'll see if it works or not. I don't think so. I think because it's too well. They trying to censor people, because I did show you that. I tell you that I saw that they said they was going to shut down Trump's Twitter. So I mean that's about the only thing they can really do is censor certain outlets and hope people don't talk to each other. The thing is, too many people talk to each other now. And the thing is, it's people can do it for clout now. It's too late. People actually talk to get clout now. They talk to each other to get clout and get material and to monetize this stuff. So, I don't really see. Like I said, I could be wrong, but just when I seen Rand Paul get attacked. And then that Democrat lady, it was somebody else. It was it was out in Portland. He was a Democratic mayor. And he was actually with the protesters, and they attacked him. That was the left. They attacked him, and then the left also attacked Rand Paul. And then, with that lady in Michigan, they attacked her. Then they suing. They suing a lot of these governors now. Well, some of them. I won't say a lot of them. Like, I don't know if you saw where the one lady she's like a restaurant owner in California. They made her shut down her business, her bar, a restaurant. I forget which one it was, a bar restaurant. But they made her shut it down. But then they let one of these studios, these Hollywood studios, have people on the set and all this other stuff. So she sued the governor of California. So... a lot of people are upset, man, because you think about it, people, like I said, people are talking, and then if they're not working, the only thing they just going to fester, they're going to be mad, and they just going to surf the internet and just see a bunch of different opinions, and then they're going to come across
and just get more and more pumped up.
Think.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I agree with that. More and more pumped up. With all the stress that's being put on people, number one, we're social animals, right? Human beings are social, right? For the most part. There's some people that don't ever want to talk to the person again, but most of us, we got to be social. And if the only way you can be social is, on the internet, it's not the same thing, right? So it's a big stressor. The fact, and that's because of COVID. So, that's a big stressor. You're not having any money. I mean, they're giving shitty stimuluses.
I think that's the biggest reason. That's the biggest thing. Money. I'm telling you, money is what people value more so than the truth, than their so-called religion, than their morals. Money is what people place the most value on. And when you mess with people's money,
that's what happens in a capitalist society, man. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. When you mess with people's money.
But even when in these socialist countries, money is the, money is the number one factor.
I wouldn't call them socialists, man. I call them communists. There's a huge difference.
In the communist countries.
Yeah.
China was communist, right? But they value money. The money is the biggest thing. Money and resources. And the resources bring money.
Well, it brings money only to the top. Kind of like it does here. Like capitalism is left. If you leave capitalism unchecked, it's going to happen like it's happening now. So what is that? Like 2% of the population owns 98% of the wealth. That's ridiculous. People have $600 billion. You don't get that way
because of the system.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
I told you before that the schools distract you from your dream. They actually kill your dream.
My dream is not to be rich.
But it's not about that. Rich? It's not about that. You're missing the point. I never said anything about rich. I said the schools distract you from your dreams, and a lot of times kill your dreams. You look at a guy like Floyd Mayweather Jr. He really didn't put much stock in school, but he focused on his craft, and he was rewarded greatly for his craft. Even though some people say he can't read, you know. So yeah, I mean that's the big thing. I don't know if he can or not, but I know he struggled when he was trying to do when he was trying to read a commercial, and that's been a big running joke. But the thing is, he focused on his dream, and he was rewarded for it. And this most people, because they don't teach you your dream in school. They teach you how to conform.
Well, his dad knew how to teach him.
But his dad was in jail too, though. Yeah, his dad did know how to teach him.
Well, no, but I understand that. But his dad, and what is his uncles and stuff like that. He had a really good support group around him. He was lucky. He was lucky he had that support group.
Yeah.
Now, could he have done it without that? Maybe, I don't know. But he had a huge support group, and he had a history of that in his family. And I agree with you. He went out there and he pursued his dream. And school, we talked about this before. School says, well, if you get good grades, if you do this, you could be great. Look at all these people out here who spend way too much for college. Way too much. They overpay for college. They get out there, and they still, after college, think they're going to be some kind of fucking millionaire. Right?
Not even just a millionaire. You can get a job where you might as well not even had got the degree because you can't really pay it back. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely. Like one of those things, I always said if I ever had a kid if I was blessed enough to have children and my kid wants to be a teacher, I'm not paying for shit. Because teaching is one of those jobs you have to, number one, they're underpaid, I think.
How?
I say, well, they only make, I guess you pay what you think your value is, but, their
value is low.
They're actually,
Their value is low.
Well, anyway, hold on. So anyway, they get paid, I don't know, starting out $40,000 a year, and you have to continuously go to school throughout your career. That is a job where you will never, ever, ever pay that shit back. You will never be, independently wealthy. You'll never, you'll be living hand to mouth. You never be able to support yourself. That's what they call an MRS degree, a Mrs. degree, because when you go there to be a teacher, when you go to college to be a teacher, all you're doing is you're looking for a rich dude to take care of you. Because you can't take care of yourself. It's hard.
So why would I want somebody that can't take care of themselves trying to teach me when I'm trying to, when I'm ambitious and trying to shoot for the stars?
Well, I think it's also
hold on. If I go to an entrepreneur, if I'm in a college, at these colleges they have entrepreneurship classes, right? But sometimes the professor teaching the entrepreneur class doesn't have a hugely successful business. So it's kind of like, You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you really teaching me? You're not really teaching people anything. They're just indoctrinating you to conform and get a job. The stuff that we do, the stuff that you did in school, you didn't even need to do it to get a job. And you spent so much time on it. It was a waste of time.
I actually like
you don't need it.
I went to better schools. But as
you
far
don't
as
need it. I went to private school too. You don't need this stuff. I don't need algebra for none of the jobs that I work. I don't need algebra for none of that stuff. It's a waste of time.
As far as like teaching me how to get jobs and stuff like that, no, they don't teach you.
But why would you want to get a job?
They don't teach you, or even start your own job. They don't teach you this. They don't teach you self-discipline. They don't teach you, all the things that you really need, which are actually, matters of character.
They don't teach you how to communicate. They don't teach you how to problem solve. They don't teach you how to communicate. They don't teach you how to problem solve. They don't teach you how to.
Well, mine did.
How?
Yeah. We had a lot of things about thinking outside the box and philosophy classes and shit like that, how to problem solve, think outside the box, creative classes, shit like that.
So what has that really gotten you to this day then that you can actually use and say, you know what, this made my life a whole lot better to where I'm doing what I really want to do?
I mean, a lot of it, man. I don't even know where
Well,
to
give me
start,
an
actually.
example.
Philosophy, especially. Philosophy especially helps. It
How?
helps you understand other people. It helps you understand other people. Helps you understand a lot of things. Helps you understand the history of things.
I think they say that 7 out of 10 people are on some kind of anxiety medicine in this country.
Yeah, we're overprescribed anxiety medicine. 100%. Because all that stuff can be fixed with meditation, working out, and
Then why did they take physical education away from the schools?
Take what away from the schools?
Physical education. Yeah, why did they take the music away from the schools?
When did they do this?
Well, they've done that periodically. They took music away when I was in school.
I don't agree with you.
Not all schools might not, be without music, but I know a lot of the schools are. And I know a lot of the schools don't do physical education or teach proper nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have so many obese kids and
yeah.
adults.
What they really need to teach, and I've always thought they need to teach, is personal finance. I mean, that's something that's used.
Yeah, that's another thing they don't teach.
Yeah, they don't teach personal finance. Taking away music or anything creative is like one of the worst things you could do, but they think that it's not part of, base curriculum. Like when they talk about math, it's like, you're going to need algebra every day of your life. Like, what? They're like, you're not going to have a calculator all the time. Well, yeah, I will. I can figure it out.
Well, the thing is, if that's been going on for so long, let's say it's been going on for 5 years and they realize that it needs to change. Mm-hmm. If they don't change it, then they're either incompetent or it's done on purpose. And
it's a big system to change. And I think that life skills.
Well, that doesn't mean you just continue to make the same mistakes. Just because it's a big system to change. And then for black people, school is definitely a waste of time. We get miseducated. We get lied to about our history. They try to kill our self-esteem. Malcolm X even said, "Why would you send your kids to be educated by your enemy?" It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time.
You know what they should have? You know what else they should have? They should have HBCU high schools.
The HBCUs really just get people ready to go work for white people a lot of times. A lot of those schools were founded by white people.
Well, I understand they were founded by white people. But, a lot of HBCUs, the one thing that I was, this is just one example, but the one thing I was really impressed with when I knew a person who went to an HBCU is when they got out,
my sister went to one.
Yeah. Well, the system that she had, the alumni system, is huge and it's great. You can end up working for black people. Like, I think that's the biggest part of an HBCU. And again, I only have that one example. But yeah, I think HBCUs are great. And we don't. So I live in the suburbs, and then let's take inner city school, right? That seems like a whole different world away. And for some reason, people in the suburbs don't understand. The only reason the suburbs exist is because, we have a CBD, Federal Business District, that has, P&G and Kroger and stuff like that. And that funds us. We're not out here on an island. And I think the biggest thing that we could do to solve a lot of problems in this country is to have a better standard of high school education. Now, if you want to go to college, you go to college, that's fine. But if we had a better standard of high school education in this country, the country would be totally different. Like STEM classes, science, technology, engineering, and math, like things you actually have to study in college if you want a specialized job. There's very few things you have to go to college.
But you don't even need to go to college for the STEM classes, for the STEM jobs now. Google, you don't need to do any more for that.
Well, not necessarily, but there's a difference between reading it in a book and learning it from someone who wrote that book. There is.
The thing is, dude, they already said this. They don't care about the degree no more at Google, because a lot of especially now, because it's like a loophole. Because supposedly, black women are the most educated people in America, meaning they go to school
Really?
the most. Yeah, you can Google that. So this is a
That's cool.
loophole. Hey, we can be racist. We don't need a degree no more. You just make sure you have enough experience in this field. Google I think it was Google just hired like a preteen to work for them. You don't need that. And another thing is like I'm seeing the school system everywhere, suburbs or inner city,
Mm-hmm.
is not it's not adding up.
Well, I don't
Why
believe in college,
why do you
for
think people do drugs? In your opinion?
sure. Typically, they're bored or they have some kind of trauma. Usually, drugs are a band-aid for something. Like nine times
Why
out
do you
of 10,
think?
drugs
Why
are
do you
band-aids
think?
for something.
Why do you think we had this big spike in heroin from white people then?
Because they're sitting at home, they're losing their money. We had 30% across the board, whatever drug it was, 30% of people relapse because you have to have when you're addicted to something, you have to have something else to take over your time. You have to have something else. You got to pack your day full of shit. You can't really have downtime because you get downtime, you get bored, your mind starts wandering. You start thinking about, oh, maybe I'll just do some heroin. I could probably do it. Oh, maybe I'll go get some coke, and that's what happens. Now you're talking about people all across the board, either every kind of drug, whether they've been sober a year, you're talking, or 15 years. People who've gone 15 years, they had their routine, they had their things going down, they had everything all set and everything good. 30% of those people relapsed just last year. You're talking about people with long-term sobriety.
The last few years, it's been a heroin epidemic before the pandemic, and this
it was going up.
This is whether you're rich or poor in the white community. So it didn't care. It didn't matter your class. So obviously something is going on to where people are sick in this society and feel like something is not right. So they have to medicate and numb the pain.
Yeah, I agree. But there's a lot of things. It's not even just one thing.
I never said it was. I'm just saying, it's a combination of things.
I'm not saying you did. Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a combination. This society is not. It's like I said. It's a sick society. Like I said, somebody told me that though, and I agree with them. It's a sick society, and you can see that it's turning out sick, broken people, and it's getting to a point where a lot of those sick, broken people are looking for other people to blame because they haven't really been given the skills to cope with their emotions, and you just see a lot of acting out. I mean, that's what that was. That was acting out. That was an emotional outlash.
What do you think is going to happen in the next couple of months?
I don't know.
Do you think it'll die down, or it'll get worse?
I think it'll get worse. If what they said was true, where they thought about going to people's houses, because you got to think it's a precedent, right? So they already emboldened, and if you embolden and then you don't get a consequence, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, nobody got charged that I know of. I don't know. I didn't, like I said, I really didn't follow it. I just saw it a little bit, and I'm like, huh? And then, I kind of just went on about my business. But
how's it going? Huh?
But I don't know if nobody gets punished, then what's to stop them from doing something else? Because nobody's even punished. It's like they don't have nothing else to do.
I guarantee.
And it's fun.
I guarantee you, the next 2 weeks are going to be rough. Next 2 weeks are going to be rough. They're going to be hailed as heroes by people who are just like them, right? They may even do it again before the 20th. If Trump gets his Twitter back, he's going to embolden them even more. He's going to tell them.
Trump is not the problem. Do you think Trump made all the people racist?
No, man. You're not listening. Those people are always there. I get that. But finally, they got someone in power who's like, hey, it's okay to be this way. it's okay to be, racist, openly racist and an asshole. That's
it's okay to be
that's
openly racist. Okay, so Joe
Yeah,
Biden.
it's okay to be
Joe
openly
Biden
racist.
is openly racist.
Well, hold on. So, so he goes out
Hello?
there. Yeah. I'm here. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. But he goes out there and he tries to get other people hurt. He's like, now it's not right to commit violence, but you all know who won the election. I appreciate your support. So he didn't condone or condemn it. So people are going to see what they want to see, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, he wants us to do it again. Shit like that's going to happen. He's going to get
Joe
his Twitter
Biden
back.
is an open racist.
Yeah, but Joe Biden doesn't incite riots. I mean, like, here's the whole thing. I'm not saying it's okay, and I understand, Joe Biden, the open racist thing. He voted against it, and all the things he said in the past. I get it. I also believe people can change, but anyway, so he comes out.
Joe Biden just said, "Y'all, this country is doomed."
Why's that?
Because white people are about to be the minority. You didn't hear that?
Mm-hmm.
He said, this country is doomed. And then he said something else. What else he say? He said something else just crazy. What did he say? This guy, you gotta be crazy to vote for this guy.
I mean, it sucks, man. It's like, these are only two choices we get. If you're a voting person, this is all you're allowed to have. You get a douche or a turd sandwich. Which one do you want? It does suck, man. It really does suck. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah, like,
it's gonna be on y'all because you see what they doing. Hey, they, like I said, I don't see it.
who's y'all, white folks?
I don't know. Yeah, like I said, that's the Civil War. That's the Civil War. It was always that was the Civil War before. People act like they have this. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The schools just really dumb down people. They act like the North was against slavery, and that's the big narrative. But no, the South just had an advantage, and they didn't want them to have that advantage no more.
Yeah, it was a political move.
But
yeah, it's not like
the
North was. Yeah.
Right. It wasn't like it was, and kind of the narrative is like basically it's a bunch of black people in the North and a few white people, and they fought the South. No, it was white people fighting white people, and it's always been like that.
No, I never heard that narrative, but the narrative that I always got was, except when I lived in Albany, Georgia, and we learned about the Civil War. It was a little different, but they didn't talk about slavery too much. But yeah, you always get this like kind of feeling that when they taught you in history classes, like, yeah, the Northerners were going down there to stop them from having slaves. And then you get older and you start to learn for yourself. It's like, no, Abraham Lincoln used the N-word for a long time. I think his whole life he used the N-word.
He said he didn't even want to stop slavery.
Yeah, no, it was, so it's one war versus the other, and one of them had free labor. So all he tried to do is just disrupt that. It's not like everybody in the North was like, no, this is morally wrong. We're going to go down there and free those people. No, that's not how it happened. Yeah.
Right.
And that's true, man. That's what we both learned. That's what we both learned. And, I talk to my friends about this all the time.
How can you learn something from people that are lying to you?
Yeah. Yeah, our history classes are edited. Just give us the whole fucking truth and let us make our own decisions. The only people they teach you.
You're not supposed to know the truth. You're supposed to be conditioned.
Well, and who they teach you about in February, right? They teach you about Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, and Martin Luther King, right? All the ones that are acceptable to white people, right? They don't teach you about Huey P. Newton's, the Malcolm X's. If you learn about Malcolm X, you just learn when he died, and you get like a paragraph in the book. Well, you don't learn about all these people. So, they called Crispus Attucks a hero because he was the first dude to get shot, and he was a black person. The Revolutionary War.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's par for the course when you're dealing with liars. If you listen to liars, if you believe liars, you may end up confused. And we got a lot of people
colonialism
confused.
at its best. Yeah, it's colonialism at its best.
But the whole thing is, I'm saying the poison has spread to Europeans.
What do you mean?
Heroin epidemic. Look, what do you mean? It's a heroin epidemic. He said Europeans are about to be a minority in this country. The birth rate is a lot of places 0 or negative. I mean, what are you talking about? Are you not seeing this?
No,
or are you just trying to stay blind to it? You know what I'm saying?
I heard about it. I heard about it a long time ago.
They're storming the Capitol building.
No, I heard it a long time ago about white people are going to be the minority in the country. And I don't care. That's fine. I've never been like, hey, me versus you.
I'm saying if you had a negative birth rate, if you have a heroin epidemic, if you're about to be the minority in the country, something is going wrong. And that's why I said before, we cannot follow this behavior unless we're going to go down the same path with them. So we can't follow that path. The Bible says, what? Be fruitful and multiply, right? If you're not being fruitful and multiplying, then something's going wrong. And that's what I'm saying. Like,
you're saying white people are negative birth rate?
Yeah, look that up.
Okay. Okay. But it's kind of like Idiocracy, though. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, one part of the movie they're talking about this couple. They decide they're not in a position to have kids, right, financially, and then in their careers they're not in a position to have kids. And then, on the flip side of the coin, there's this dude, this poor white dude, and he has like 10 babies, right? So that's what's happening. You see what I mean?
That could be the case. But I know people. Yeah. You see people out here. You see people that's poor and they have a bunch of kids, but you also see people that's rich and they have a bunch of kids. Mm-hmm. Some people make poor decisions to have a bunch of kids, and some people plan and have a bunch of kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just is what it is. I've seen people say that argument, but it's poor white people in this country, and so so with that logic, all those poor white people should be having a bunch of babies too. It's not happening because it was too much.
Poor white folks aren't having babies?
That's what I'm saying, they are. But with that logic, then they should be having a whole bunch of them. With that logic, if you're saying, well, birth rates are based off of income, and the lower income people are going to have more, well, like I said, some people with a lot of income will have a lot of kids too. They playing, but some people.
No, I'm not saying that. I was just thinking from the movie, maybe that would be what it is. But I don't know what it is. And I really as far as I don't care if that really, it doesn't bother me at all if white people become the minority. It just I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but you might not
care.
But some people do, and that's a big problem.
But some people I think you understand that, and me coming from the other side where I interact with mostly white people all day, when I do interact, is they just, it's like inherently they know. They'll never admit it and they'll never say it, and they never think it consciously, but in the back of their mind, they're scared of everybody that's not white.
Why?
They're just absolutely scared of everybody. I have no idea. I don't know if it's because that's what they learned on the news when they were kids. Like when we talked about, how society is kind of, taking the racism train and ran with it. The only time you see a black person on the news.
Well, I don't think that's what it is, but it could be that.
I mean, that's part of it for sure, is because anytime these people interact with black people, they don't interact, number one, and the only time they see black people, they're a villain in a show. They're getting arrested on TV.
Well, what is reason to come in at?
The reasoning for what? To be scared?
What is your reasoning? like your mental faculties. Look, think about that girl in Central Park that called the police on that black guy. She was educated and she was a liberal, but she still called the police on a black dude. He was gay and he was feminine too. Like
He
you
was,
know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like it wasn't like he was like
the guy who told him to put the leash on the dog.
yeah. So it wasn't even like this dude
Yeah.
was like masculine or anything.
I don't know, man. People get scared. I don't know, like, I don't know what it is.
She lives in New York. She's been around black people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know why people get so scared. I mean, I was at one time, but that was before I knew anything about it, before I started educating myself. You know what I mean?
So you were scared also?
Yeah. Because
yeah, I mean, a lot of people.
Scared of
Go ahead.
You're scared of what you don't know anything about. You're scared of things that you don't know about. Like, once you start learning things, and once you start, getting some knowledge, and knowledge, I think, is the best thing to combat prejudice. But once you start getting knowledge and things like that, specific knowledge. Now, if she went to fucking school for basket weaving, she could still have, she could be around black people, but, I'm talking about, like, going to someone's house, hanging out with someone, treating someone like one of your best friends, like, stuff like that, like hanging out, on a regular basis.
But shouldn't it be inherent to treat people with respect and polite?
Huh?
I say, shouldn't it just be inherent to treat people with respect and be polite?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. It should be inherent, and I don't know, but in this country, man, you already know, is we as a society have vilified people who are not white.
Well, that's because they allowed that to happen. The white people allowed that to happen. And a lot of these quotes seem like cliche, and then people will say them, but then the quotes have a lot of truth in them. When they talk about injustice, injustice somewhere is a justice anywhere. Injustice anywhere is I don't know. I don't even know the damn quote. I'm trying to quote it. I don't know the quote, but you know what I'm talking about. But
no, things become cliche because they're true.
Right.
They become cliche because people say them over and over again because they're true.
But people see other people being oppressed, and then they look the other way and say, "Well, at least it's not me." And then they'll treat the people bad. But it talks about, a lot of these quotes talk about it's going to happen to you if you allow that to happen. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what we have, like, because if you let kids play,
about too.
If you let kids play, they're just gonna do their thing. They don't get into all that race stuff. You know what I'm saying? They just go by energy. It seems like, and vibe.
No, it's learned. Yeah, and I learned it through TV, honestly.
Another thing when you talk about anxiety is like not really the person. So you kind of like not even in the driver's seat. You're actually being controlled by an emotion, and that's the problem. Yeah, because that emotion is at the forefront, not your conscious mind. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Absolutely correct. And I know I talk about maybe too much, but meditation talks about that, right? So the real you is, like, let's say you're looking at the sky, it's a clear sky. So the real you is that clear sky, right? And clouds are emotion, right? So you go out, it's a cloudy day. But the real you, like, what's above those clouds? A sunny sky. It's still sunny up there, still clear up there. So if you get caught up in the emotion in the clouds, it could take you anywhere. Like, people, there are way too many people that, and we all do it, but there are way too many people that just absolutely refuse to have any control over their emotions and just go wherever their emotion takes them.
Because it takes discipline and it takes responsibility.
It takes quite a bit.
It takes to be, maybe humble isn't the right word, but you kind of have to be kind of humble to be able to say, you know what, I'm not gonna react to this. I'm not gonna try to get the last word or be right. A lot of people want to be right, and they just keep conversations going and just make the situation worse. I try to control my emotions. because other people, if they're in a negative vibe, or vibration, I should say, they may pull you into that vibration with them. So you have to be conscious of
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Absolutely. And vibrations are a real thing. Don't think it's just fucking magic. Vibrations are a
Oh
real
no,
thing.
it is definitely a real thing, and they know that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, these people at the top, they know a lot of this. This isn't even it's science, right? So this isn't like
it is.
so it's science. So I mean, they know,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah,
why you
and
have to get away from people like that. Are you gonna take on that energy if you can't bring them? Because it's easier to be negative than it is positive, right? It takes more conscious effort.
it is, yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about this more on Sunday. I know that's one of the things you wanted to talk about. But yeah, being negative is our default. And I'm going to read more on this so I can have like a coherent thought. But being negative is default. It's more of a survival mechanism that we don't need all the time. It still has its uses, but we don't need it all the time. But you're absolutely right, man. If you ever walk into a room and it just feels off and you want to get out of that room, with the people in it, like you just meet someone and you just get a vibe. And that shit happens.
Yeah,
It's real.
yeah,
It's real.
exactly. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean,
And,
you can have
and what it is, which is
when
crazy.
you meet a
We'll talk
female.
about this more.
When you meet a female, you get those feelings also. You get another kind of vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and what's crazy is that they think that part of that could be can actually read other hearts. It's like a second brain, and they also think that after so much time in your life, you pick up all these like really small perceptions, just subconsciously, like the way someone's standing, the way someone's tone is in their voice, the way their eyes look, or they're squinting or whatever, the way their eyebrows are shaped. You know what I mean? Like the face that they're barely making, or how they act in the first 5 minutes. They think that we can really pick up on this stuff really quick, and that's kind of how we get vibes.
Yeah, sometimes we just ignore them, or we don't trust ourselves.
Right. But that's our hour. Appreciate you letting me have this conversation.
Yeah, man, because I'm kind of tired. It's like 12:54.
Yeah, that's our hour. I appreciate you calling. Everybody like and subscribe. Next time, call in. We're going to be doing it Sunday. What time are we doing it Sunday?
It's gonna be football on Sunday, man. So we're gonna have to see.
Okay, so it'll be late on Sunday.
It's gonna be late on Sunday. It's gonna be football.
Okay, it'll be late on Sunday, but
playoffs.
Yeah, like and subscribe, and until next time, I'm TJ.
All right, thanks.
All right, bye.